Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast, a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network and the official podcast of Left Wing Lock, your number one source for fantasy hockey intelligence. I'm Devin Davidson, your host. With me as always, Bruce Gunther, John Enns, and Tyler Homan. Good to have you back, boys. How are things?
Sleepy. Very sleepy.
Yep. Bruce is getting over the holiday hangover.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a big one tomorrow morning.
And Tyler, good to see you again, buddy. Where you been? Been working a lot.
Yeah, lots of work.
Work. Building your empire.
I'm trying. I was doing night shift
nice.
Last time we did this. So.
And John, I know you've been busy too, working a lot as well.
Yep.
And you're on holidays, which we already talked about. Yep. All right. Good. Enough small talk. Enough banter. Episode 73. Here we are. Fantasy hockey previews for the Pacific Division. We're jumping into our team previews here. Starting with part one, which will include Anaheim, Los Angeles, San Jose, and Vegas. Next week, we have a special guest joining us to cover the Canadian teams and Seattle, so be sure you tune in for that one. I should also mention that this episode is brought to you by Pro Hockey Life, the ultimate hockey megastore, apparel, hockey equipment, street hockey equipment, training, fitness, in-store services, and much, much more. But before we jump into team previews, we do have John's list, of course, like we always do every week, and we have a few headlines, Bruce, we want to cover. So without further ado, John, I don't know if you even agree with this. We're really short on options this week for John's list. I said John Klingberg's agent for failing to secure a long-term deal for the UFA defenseman. You've got Brent Burns. What does that mean? What does that mean, John?
That just means I don't like Brent Burns.
Okay, so you put
he's trash. I'm okay with Klingberg's agent there, because he didn't secure a long-term deal, which kind of odd. But I don't know, and I just don't like Brent Burns. So hey,
just don't like the guy.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler, what was your take on Klingberg's deal? Because obviously we'll get into that a bit more through this preview, but it seems like maybe the market wasn't quite what he thought it was going to be. I mean, if you got $7 million for 1 year, what would that AAV have looked like over a 7-year term?
I think he probably wanted the 5 or the 6. This feels a lot like Taylor Hall's 1 year, $8 million in Buffalo. It worked out okay for Hall after that. It is a little bit odd to go to Anaheim. Obviously, Anaheim's got great weather, but with those other 2 right-hand D that are already there, I'm not sure he's in a much better position than he would have been somewhere else for a little bit less money. Anaheim's a nice place to play, but I don't know if that's the best spot for him. So,
on a 1 year prove me deal, I don't know that he's going to get the production he's probably hoping for in a contract year.
Well, it doesn't feel like a prove me because it's still $7 million. Like, it's a big number, and I think it would be different if you take, like a $2 or $3 million deal. That's kind of a prove me. Even a $4 million deal on a 1 year term, I think people probably see that differently at the end of the year, because they're going to look at his salary cap hit and then his production too, and kind of compare the two.
And a $2 or $3 million deal doesn't get Anaheim to the cap floor. $7 million gets them over the cap floor. So that's Anaheim's thinking behind that.
Yeah,
that's valid. While we're on John's list, we should maybe also talk about Nazim Cadre. I know we've talked about him in the past too. Yeah, you know who.
I was gonna say, hasn't he already been on the list?
He has, but I just, again, more rumors popping up today, and it sounds like he's on his way to the Islanders, which does not excite me at all personally. I think that's going to be terrible for his fantasy value. I was already kind of down on him going into this season because he wasn't going to duplicate the 87 points he posted last season with the Avalanche, and now going to the Islanders, there's not much there to get excited about.
John, Lou Lamoriello has to go on your list next week because, I am so glad I'm not a fan of that team. You hear nothing. There's zero. Everybody has matching haircuts. You're not allowed to have a mustache. And nobody talks. Nobody knows what's going on there. I think it's terrible. And Cadre obviously didn't have anything else out there. I would have taken if I was him, go to Seattle on a 1 year, $8 million deal and then see what happens next year. like your career is just going to go to die in the island.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm okay with that.
But Lou Lamoriello sucks. Like, it sucks. You hear nothing. He's not going to register any of these deals until like October 1st.
Probably.
And 5 people got traded and 6 people got signed. It would
Yeah,
just suck to be a fan.
He's just the worst, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And he knows he can do it, so he just does it.
He doesn't care. He does whatever he wants.
He does pretty much whatever he wants.
Okay, so there you go. Bonus entry for the list, Lou Lamoriello.
You're welcome.
Doesn't even make it to next week. He just get lumped into this one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, there you go. There you have it. There's John's list. Bruce, should we move on to headlines with the Hacks? And before we do that, I guess we should mention the left wing lock draft kits are now available.
Yay.
I believe you said August 1st. I know we've got copies of it as well, so we've been kind of perusing through the documents. Lots of good stuff in there. So I've included the link in our podcast show notes. Be sure to go check it out. If you care about fantasy hockey at all, good source of information. If you're like Tyler and you like to win, more tries to. Really hard.
Tyler just rigs it, so he does.
Holy hell.
It's like, I haven't even been in the league for 2 years, and
Oh man,
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Jeez.
boys, rough to rip weren't started. Okay, Bruce, save the show, buddy. Save the show. Get to the headlines.
whoops.
All right. Oh boy. All right. Jesse Puljujarvi and the Edmonton Oilers avoided arbitration, agreeing to a 1-year extension worth $3 million. As I read this morning, all salary, no signing bonus. So they wanted to save some money by trading him down the road. They did not do that. It's all salary.
We're all happy with this. We're all okay with that.
He's getting traded for like a sack of pucks.
Somebody's
Maybe-
getting traded.
Maybe a team bus. That's
Well,
probably all they're going to get for him.
Somebody has to get traded, Bruce. Right, like you said. What was their cap space? Like $68,000.
No, since Puljujarvi signing, they're now negative.
Okay, that was before the pool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But if
like
they,
Tyler said, someone getting traded.
With Clefbaum and Smith going on LTIR at the beginning of the season, they'll be positive about $3 million, roughly.
Before signing McLeod and Yamamoto, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that could be they could be in the negative after that too, right? Depending on how the arbitration goes for the two of them.
I don't think they're going to trade Puljujarvi. I think it's going to be Barry, and I think they want to trade Fogle, but I don't think anybody wants to take him.
No.
Barry at 4.5 with 2 years left. 1 season off of being, what was he, a highest scoring defenseman? 56 points or something like that. He's got value, and you don't need him to play on the third pairing and power play. It's a weird spot. It's a good player to trade. Yeah, it's nice to have depth. So if Bouchard gets hurt, you can plug him in there and be happy with that. But that's a good player to move to fit everything in. And if Puljujarvi doesn't get COVID again, doesn't get hurt again, maybe you get something for him.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He was off to a good start last season, right before he got injured, and then he just wasn't the same after that and after COVID. So
Yeah.
we'll see what next year brings, I guess.
All right. Dan Quinn was announced as the head coach of the San Jose Sharks. He had a 96, 87, 25 record in 3 seasons with the Rangers.
Cool.
Cricket. Cool.
That was exciting.
That was exciting. Okay, next. Kaapo Kakko signed a 2-year, $4.2 million contract extension with the Rangers. Just 18 points, 7 goals, and 43 games played last season. He should do a little bit better this year, I think. What do you guys think?
Can't get
I
any
hope
worse.
so. Yeah, I hope so.
Sure, he
Oh, yeah.
can. He can do. What was that for the Oilers? He didn't be brought in. Tobias Reeder didn't score a goal the whole time.
Yeah, the
So,
difference
yes, it
being
can-
there was. Yeah, no, agree, Bruce. You can be worse, but the expectations for Kaapo Kakko as a second overall pick are significantly higher.
Okay. All right, I'll give you that. Senators have agreed to terms with forward Matthew Joseph on a 4-year, $11.8 million contract. He was producing at almost a point per game pace since he was traded to the Senators in the Nick Paul trade.
It's good
Good little
value
con-
at 2.9, right?
Oh yeah, if you can even keep half of the pace up he did there between the trade deadline and he was injured at the end of the season, that's some great value for the Senators, and they're upgraded. He'll be what, top 9, I guess he would be. He'll be in the third line probably.
Yeah, most likely.
So that's great for them. Non-fantasy news: Adidas is not going to renew their NHL uniform and apparel deal after it expires at the end of the 2023-2024 season.
So no Gatorade, no Adidas after 2024.
Nope.
Oilers' new jerseys come out, and then in 2 years you have to buy a new one because they're going to be new again. So
I'm sure that was totally by accident, Tyler.
make sure you go get them.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, John Klingberg has signed a 1-year, $7 million deal with the Anaheim Ducks. The deal gets the Ducks over the cap floor, and an offensive defenseman who's not afraid to lead the rush and hopefully can secure a spot on power play 1 to add some additional punch to the Ducks power play, which was much improved last season. We beat that horse dead already, so we'll just move on to the next one.
Moving on.
And Kaprizov fans can breathe easy. He has landed in the USA. He arrived today via Turkey. He's set to land in Minnesota tomorrow morning. As I said here, set fantasy keeper to yes.
Bruce, are you going to meet him at the airport with a sign or something?
Probably not, no.
No.
I got to work tomorrow, so I won't.
Otherwise.
Big Kaprizov fan. Big Kaprizov fan.
Kind of a fan, yeah.
Yeah.
Just listening to Bruce say that he arrived via Turkey just made me giggle. So, yeah, I know what you meant, but that's
Arrived
not
via
how I'm
Turkey.
interpreting.
And I'll be there with flowers.
With
There you go.
flowers?
Bruce would be there with flowers.
Oh,
You sure
jeez.
would.
He'd be like, old bald guy next. It's like, yeah.
All right, there you
Now-
go. There. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just gonna say that accent wasn't very good. Maybe Devin should give you some pointers.
I will not be providing any pointers on that area. No,
He should. He's going to sound Italian.
absolutely not. All right, so that does it for headlines with the Hacks. We're going to move on to the Pacific Division preview here shortly, but before we do, we're just going to let our listeners know about DraftKings. As a member of the Hockey Podcast Network, the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast is a proud partner of DraftKings. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer with tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports. You can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and prop bets, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER or just by reviewing the information in our show notes. And with that, guys, let's get on to our 2022 Pacific Division Fantasy Hockey Preview, Part 1. Like I said, we're going to cover the Ducks, we're going to cover the Kings, we're going to cover the Sharks, and the Golden Knights. Starting with the Anaheim Ducks. And before I do, I'm not quite sure if Tyler or John are going to join us again here, Bruce. I think the ad read went a little faster than anticipated. So, there's Tyler. Okay, we got him back.
He was afraid
John?
he was going to do it himself.
Yeah, I know.
I was here
just-
the whole time.
Just scattered. Did you see him scatter? It was hilarious. All right. Let's start it off here with the Anaheim Ducks. So last year they finished 7th in the Pacific with a record of 31, 37, and 14. 2.78 goals for per game, which is 24th. 3.24 goals against per game, which is 23rd. Goals for percentage of 46, which is 22nd in the NHL. Corsi for percentage of 47, which is 25th. And the power play was at 21.9%, which was 14th. And the penalty kill was at 80.8%, which was 10th. So special teams are actually pretty good for the Ducks last season. They have 11 back-to-back sets this year. That's tied for 4th fewest with the Kings, Washington, and Nashville. And 50% of their games are played on light days, so days where fewer than 50% of teams are in action, which it kind of tends to be the case with the Ducks. right? They usually have a large or healthy share of their games on light days, which adds a bonus if you roster any of their players. Not that there are a ton that you want to roster, Bruce, but there are a few.
Might make Gibson a good third goalie.
Absolutely. Especially in the first half of the season.
Yes. Before December. After December, you'll probably want to trade him.
Bets are off. Key additions for the Ducks, Ryan Strome, Frank Vetrano, and of course, John Klingberg, who we just mentioned. Key departures, Ryan Getzlaff, who retired. Sonny Milano, he's a UFA, he was not qualified by the Ducks. Sam Steele, also not qualified. Josh Manson was traded to Colorado this past deadline, and then he re-signed there. And then Andre Schuster. So let's move on to top fantasy targets here, guys. I'm just going to start it off. The most obvious one being Trevor Zegras. Last year, he was largely undrafted, actually, just being a rookie coming in, but did return some pretty good value. My points prediction for next season, 24 goals, 65 points. Do you guys like the over or the under on that? Tyler, will go to you. Okay. Nope. Bruce, go for it. You're going under or over?
No, I'm going over. I heard cricket, so I thought I better say something.
Yeah, that's why I picked somebody, because I didn't hear anything. So okay.
I'm going over.
Okay, by a lot or a little, Bruce? What's your thoughts on Zegras for next year?
I'm thinking he's going to be hovering right around 70 points total.
Okay. Tyler, I'll go to you. What do you think? Big Zegras fan?
No. I think if scoring next year is like what it was this past season, I think it's over. But I think 65 is a pretty good number, and I don't think the team's going to be very good. I think it's going to kind of be up to him. So
yeah. Some things that I noted here, and then John will get to you. But just I noticed his IPP was over 80. Well, and his ish too was almost 13% versus just under 6 in his first year in the league. So
iffy.
Little iffy, you could say. So, and we've only got 2 years of data to work with here. So, where does he shake out? Is he somewhere in the middle? We'll have to see, right? I don't think the team's any better, like you said, Tyler. So, I just don't think he's going to be a ton better this year than he was last year. John, what do you think?
I'm going to take the over.
Okay. I don't know if I even have to ask you guys. I think I know all your responses to this one. But next up, we got Troy Terry, again undrafted for the most part in leagues last year, unless somebody knew something we didn't. My points prediction for him this year, 28 goals, 58 points. I think he has to take a step back this year. The team's not really that much better, and his 19%-ish, Tyler, as I like to call it, was well above his career average. Secondary assist rate, we talked about that lots last year. It was high, and he shot more than he ever has, 2.6 shots on goal per game versus career average of 1.8. So I think he's taking a step back, but do you guys like the over or under? John, I'll start with you.
I'm going to take the under on this one. Yeah, he's going to regress, so.
Boom. Like it. Love it. Bruce?
You know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to take the over.
No, I can't be different.
Right, man. You know what? I'm going to... You look at all the guys that Anaheim drafted young, so you look at Terry, Steele, and they let Steele go, right? I think Terry has finally figured it out. I think he'll be over. If he's going to play with Zegras or if he's going to play with Strome, I think, or not Strome. Yeah, it was one of the Strome brothers that signed.
Yeah, Ryan Strome.
Yeah, I think he'll be over.
Yeah, I can see. Well, I think Terry's probably going to play with Zegras, most likely, on that top line. And then I've seen Vetrano on the top line playing with Zegras and with Terry, but I've also seen Strome and Vetrano playing together because they spent some time in New York, right? So, I don't know. I'm just not sold on Terry. Tyler, I think you had him last year, right, in fantasy? You were trying to hawk him pretty much every week.
Yeah.
I just think people they're gonna overdraft him this year. I think they're gonna be disappointed with the results. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think his goal total might be a little bit higher than 28, but I don't think the total points will be at 58. I think it'll be under on total points.
Yeah, I think I was a little rough on the total goals. Like he could be over 30 again, but I don't think there's no way he's gonna be up at 19% shooting. Like,
no,
he's gonna go for 20 this year. What the hell?
Oh, why not? Go full Drysdale.
Go full Drysdale.
All right. Mason McTavish. Honestly, guys, I don't have a ton of intel on Mason McTavish. I mean, he's an A-level prospect, but I don't know much to say about him. I've got 15 goals, 40 points. What do you guys think?
Under. He'll be under.
Over.
I'm going under.
Okay.
I'm different.
Yeah. I think he's going to be somewhere in that range. Obviously, that's my thoughts, but
You can't say that. You got to pick one.
I'm going to say push. Mike just came on the show last week, said push, so I'm going to say
Mike's allowed to do that. You're not.
Okay.
Total cop out. Total cop out.
Yeah, I'll take the over then. Just if I have to pick one, I'll take the over, but I don't. That'll be a stretch.
Oh, now you're just copying Tyler.
Yep.
Wait.
There's only two options here, boys. You can't be that much different.
Yeah, see? Only two options. No push.
All right. I am not really that big on Ryan Strome. He was surprisingly productive in New York, but that was also playing next to Artemi Panarin. So I think he's going to take a step back here. I've got 22 goals and 55 points. His ADP last year in Yahoo, 136. John, what do you think? Ryan Strome?
Under.
Under,
because I don't like the guy.
Yeah, I'll take that one too, buddy. Not so much because I don't like him. I don't know him personally or anything, but I just, I think his production's going to be down.
Me neither. I just don't like him.
Bruce, what do you think?
Oh, well, you said I can't say push, but I was going to say push because I think that's pretty much right where he's going to be at.
Yeah.
That's 50 to 55.
20 goals, 50 points, right? I think that's kind of what you can expect from Ryan Strome.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyler, anything different, or that's just kind of that's Ryan Strome in a nutshell? All right. Frank for Toronto, I think I've got him here. 24 goals, 45 points. I think that's a career high for him is 24 goals. I think he could match that. He's just going to get more opportunity in Anaheim because there's not really much there. He's been stuck in places like Florida and New York where he just hasn't he's gotten exposure to good players, but he's not getting prime deployment either. So I expect he maybe takes a bit of a step in terms of goals, but point production, 45 points. Tyler, over or under for Frank for Toronto?
Under. That's
Okay.
all.
Just not a Toronto fan, hey?
Just don't like the guy.
Just don't like the guy. That's totally fair. Let's see here. Yeah, 37-point pace last year. 38, 40 the years prior. 45 points, honestly, is probably a stretch. But I just think with a bit more opportunity, he could potentially just a little bit. But Bruce, what do you think?
I'm going over. I think he makes it to 50 total points.
There you go. And then let's talk about John Klingberg, their big acquisition here, obviously. I don't have his ADP here for some reason, but my points prediction for Klingberg, 10 goals, 54 points. His shot volume, 1.9 shots on goal per game last season, and his individual shooting percentage was at 4.3%. Both were down last year. And like we mentioned, he's a UFA next summer, so I don't know if anyone's done the research to know if contract years are actually a thing or if people just talk about it, but I think in my mind, anyway, if you're playing for a contract the next season, you're going to try a little bit harder. So I've got him at 10 goals and 54 points. John, what do you think?
I'm going to take the under, but just slightly.
Just because you don't like Anaheim?
Sure.
All right, Tyler, what do you think?
I'll take the under.
Take the end of that one. I'm just going to look up his 3-year numbers here. I don't know them off the top of my head. Yeah, his 3-year average is 8 goals and 43 assists for 51 points.
Under.
So that's right around average. So,
Bruce, over, under?
I'm going to join the under party and say under.
Okay, I'll take that too. Jamie Drysdale, I was obviously a little bit higher on this guy before the Klingberg acquisition. I've got him here at 7 goals, 37 assists. He was taken late in drafts last season. Bruce, I think you might have been one of those people that took him late in the draft last year.
Yeah, very late.
I think you're a fan of Drysdale, right?
Yeah, I was hoping he would be one of the defensemen that would break out last season, but it didn't. It didn't happen, so it might take a little bit longer, especially now with Klingberg in front of him. So he most likely won't get power play 1 time. He'll probably power play 2.
I think we're probably waiting at least another season before we see a Drysdale breakout.
Yep.
Okay, we can all agree we'll take the under on Drysdale.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I'll take the over.
Okay, just to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. And then John Gibson. So, I mean, I think we've all kind of avoided this guy the past few seasons, really. He's gotten worse, it seems. 3.07 goals against average, a .904 save percentage, and a negative 8.6 goals saved above average the last 3 seasons. Also, his .894 penalty kill save percentage, shorthanded save percentage, suggests some regression next season as well. I've got him here for 55 starts or 67% net share and 22 wins next season. Bruce, I know you've had this guy in the past. What's your take on Gibson?
Well, like we said earlier, he's good until December, and then he's stood on his head so many times until December. He's just worn out, and then after that, he's just not that great in the second half of the season. So if Anaheim can improve their defense in front of him, and you look at, like you said, their schedule, they play a lot of games on off nights, he'd be a good third goalie option.
I do like him for the scheduling aspect of things, like you said, light days, and I think fewer back-to-backs here, right, as well. So
yeah,
so he should get volume, and he's going to play on off nights. So it's a good option in terms of the schedule. But
yeah, if you're drafting him thinking he's going to be one of your starting 2 goalies, you're going to be sadly mistaken around January-ish.
And the peripherals are going to be a little bit ugly.
Yes.
Okay. Tyler, any thoughts on Gibson?
I think he's going to have a better year than last year. I think he'd be a really good third goalie based on what their schedule looks like. But I would draft him, and that's kind of just hoping that he has a better year, but I think he's going to.
Okay. John, your take on Gibson?
Exact same as Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That does it for the Anaheim Ducks. Let's move on to the Los Angeles Kings, who finished 3rd in the Pacific last season with a record of 44, 27, and 11. They were 20th in goals at 2.87 goals for per game, 10th in goals against at 2.83. Goals for percentage, 50.32, which is 17th. Their Corsi for percentage was 54, which is actually 4th in the league last year. And then their special teams are terrible. 16.1% of the power play, which was 27th, and 76.6% on the PK, which was 22nd. They've got 11 back-to-back sets this season. Excuse me. That's tied for 4th fewest with Anaheim, Washington, and LA. And 30% of the games are played on light days. Some key additions this offseason: Kevin Fiala, acquired from Minnesota. Gabriel Velarde was re-signed. Brendan Lemieux re-signed. Alex Edler re-signed. Some departures here: Dustin Brown retired. Athanasiou was a UFA. He was signed by Chicago. Alimata, UFA, signed by Detroit. And Troy Stetcher went to Arizona.
I just got to cut in here for 1 second here.
Go for it.
So is that whole Dustin Brown statue thing actually a thing?
Sounds that way.
Like he's actually getting a statue outside?
It's a real thing.
Sounds that way.
Wow. Like, the guy is horrible.
Maybe they'll put him next to Kobe.
Oh, man. Like, I don't know. That's like, that blows me away.
Yeah. He won a couple Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there for a long time. A statue immediately after retiring is a bit much. It's a bit much. Like, you're going to make one for Quick, too?
Yeah.
Kopitar?
Probably.
May as well.
Quick will get one. Kopitar will get one.
Dowdy will get one with no teeth.
But yeah. You can't put the teeth in
You're going to make a Mount Rushmore in front of the arena?
pretty much.
For like a couple guys that were like good for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to worry about the Lakers. There's nobody good on that team. And they're not sticking around long enough to be here to have their own statues. So
can you imagine a statue of the unibrow?
Won't happen.
No.
LeBron will disappear and won't be too far behind him.
He's gonna go with him. Put him in a suitcase. You can leave together.
But yeah, suitcase.
Okay.
Do it.
All
Sorry.
right. No, that's good. I I had heard something about it, but people were kind of comparing him to Lanny McDonald, actually. Just from the fact that because Lanny won a cup in Calgary, right? So people remember him for that. And Brown
That's
won
the
2
only
cups
thing Calgary's
in LA.
ever won.
That's right. So now LA wins 2 cups, and Dustin Brown was their captain. He's a big hero, right? He's a guy, actually, like, in his prime, you loved him because he hit everything that moved, and he was semi-productive, right?
Yeah.
But 10 years later, are you a big fan? No, not really. So, all right, let's talk about top fantasy targets for the upcoming season. Anze Kopitar, ADP 91. His average ADP, including ESPN and some other platforms, is 71.5. 22 goals, 77 points. Tyler, you like the over/under on Kopitar?
I'll take the over. He had a really, really good start to last season, like an insane start to last season. And it just didn't quite last, but it kind of coincided too with Dowdy being hurt for as long as he was. So
Yeah.
Dowdy back healthy, I think the over is a good guess.
Yeah, Kopitar last year, 82-game pace was 68 points. His 3-year average is about 71 points. So I really like the Fiala acquisition. I think that bolsters his fantasy value. I think he will take a step forward. I just don't see him being at that 92-point level he was at a few years ago, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's over a point a game either. So, Bruce, what's your take on Kopitar?
I was going to say over. I'm thinking close to 80 to 84. So, yeah, close to that point per game. That's where I was thinking for him.
John, you're nodding in approval.
Yes, I do. Over.
Okay. All right. Kevin Fiala, it's funny, I was looking at him and his numbers. There's really nothing here that screams regression. Like his team's even strength shooting percentage with him on the ice was 11%. So it was a bit high. But other than that, there wasn't really any major indication that he should take a big step back this year. So I don't have him at 85 points this year personally. I think he's going to be back at around 75 points and 35 goals. Do you guys think I'm out to lunch, or do you see him putting up another 85-point season?
Under.
No, I don't.
Under.
John, yeah.
I just don't like the guy. I actually
Works for
don't,
me.
though. I actually don't.
I've heard he's not a very likable guy, so yeah, I could totally understand that. Taken around 135 in Yahoo last season. I think he's going to get overdrafted based on last year's production. So,
Good. Somebody can have him.
yeah, I mean, he's a guy we've all kind of taken him at certain points later in the draft, where we've picked him up off the waiver wire in years past.
Second half of the season.
Right, in the second half of the season. Yep.
Yeah.
I think those days are done because he's going to get drafted big time this year.
Yeah.
Another guy here that didn't play much last year but has potential to put up some goals is Victor Arvidsson. He was undrafted. 26 goals, 56 points. Do you guys like the over or the under for Arvidsson?
He has the possibility of going over, but he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy.
So you're
That's
taking the over? You're taking the over?
I'll take the over, but he said as long as he's healthy. If he's not healthy, he isn't getting anywhere close to that.
Yeah, the thing with him, so the past 3 seasons, he's been on pace for 40 points in 2 of the past 3 years. He was on pace for 60 last year. He only played 66 games, though. So, like you said, the potential's there, but he hasn't been over 20 goals since 2018, 2019.
Yeah. Well, he's had a significant injury the last, 3 seasons?
Well, he's had things going on, right? So,
yeah.
Good enough?
Over.
Okay. Over. Tyler?
Under.
Perfect. Beauty. All right. Philip Deneau had a big season last year, undrafted largely. He did have a career year. He's played an 82-game pace of 54 points in 3 of the last 4 seasons. But the big difference for him last year, though, was his shot volume was up, and he shot at a career best 13.9%. I don't think we're going to see him shoot at 14% again this upcoming season, and I really don't know, based on all of his other numbers, that he's going to shoot at 2.5% or 2.5 shots on goal per game again this year. So I've kind of got him in that 50-point range and 20-ish goals. Is that cool with you, Tyler, or what do you think?
What's his second highest shooting percentage? over the course of the
second
season.
highest. Let me. I can just pull that up for you really quickly.
Okay. I'm going to take the over. I think like Kopitar's there to kind of do the heavy lifting. And I know there was some interviews where he kind of talked about that and that he was a little more free to do more things than he was in Montreal. So I don't know how much I would weight career averages with him.
Yep.
I think these, like when his career is done, I think you would take Montreal and LA's averages and kind of average those both out.
So here's what I'll tell you. His career shooting percentage is 9.9%, which is actually his second best shooting percentage in any single season. His 3-year average, though, is 11.3%, which obviously accounts for having a higher season last year. So
Yeah.
I think my projection was based on around a 10%-ish. Because, I don't think he won't be a 14, but I don't think he's going to be at 5.5% like he was in 2015, right? So,
Yeah, I'd still take the over.
okay, I think I would as well. I like to know. I think he's been a nice fit in LA, and he should be good again. And he had some chemistry with Trevor Moore, so I think that'll be good. Power play time will be limited, but that's okay. He's a good 5-on-5 player. Bruce, what do you think?
I think it's going to be over, but just slightly over. Be like 55 points-ish. It's not going to be a whole lot over that.
Okay. So you're not going to push, but pretty close.
Yeah.
John?
I'll say over.
Beauty. We got Adrian Kempe as well, undrafted last season, 28 goals, 52 points. I'm just trying to look at his numbers here again here.
Under. I don't like him.
Yeah,
Hate
no,
everything about him.
Yep. Not a fan. 35 goals last year, 54 points, 57-point pace.
Pretends to be tough.
Well, he does hit those. He had almost 1.5 hits per game. So for fantasy purposes, I mean, he does provide a little bit of category coverage there, which is nice. Shot volume's good. 3.2 shots on goal per game last year.
Under. 0 points.
0 points. I don't think he's gonna hit 35 again, so I'll take the under as well.
Under.
Yeah, I'll go under too.
Okay. Drew Dowdy, I've got 12 goals and 50 points, which I think is his 3-year average. Assuming he stays healthy, I think that's reasonable. Where did he go? 99th was his ADP in Yahoo last year. Bruce, what do you think?
I'm going to go over. He's pissed that he didn't get to play in the playoffs last year, so he'll go over that.
And he was off to a good start, same as Kopitar. He had 65-point pace in 39 games played last year. So I'm going to take the over as well on that one.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Taking the under.
Because you just don't like the guy?
Yep.
That's fair.
But I'm saying under anyways. And
then in goal, what do you guys think? Are we going to see these guys kind of split the net? Are we going to see Quick take it over? Or is it just going to be performance dependent? Like I'm assuming it's going to be a 60-40 split with Quick kind of being the guy, because I think McLellan likes his old veteran players, right? We've seen that in Edmonton. Yeah. That's typically what he does. I think he'll defer to Quick a little bit unless Calvin Peterson drastically outplays Quick. That's my take, but Tyler, what do you think?
I think it's going to be closer to 50-50 and maybe a little bit higher, but leaning towards Peterson.
Okay.
I think they kind of want to start moving in that direction because that's where it's going. I was surprised that Quick started in the playoffs last year. I get it, but I was surprised. But yeah, I think Peterson's going to play a little bit more than Quick this year. And Quick, he's probably going to get hurt for a period of time. And Peterson probably steal the net and keep the net.
Well, we all expected, I think a lot of us drafted Peterson late, taking the 0G draft strategy, right, Bruce? And we looked at Peterson as a nice option. He was a pretty popular pick, actually, last year, and then he just didn't pan out. It didn't work. And looking at the numbers here, Quick played a lot of games down the stretch for the Kings.
I think it was more of a split at the start of the year. and then at the end it was kind of quick.
It was almost like a 50-50 split, Tyler, to start the year. Like right up until December-ish, and then they started leaning on Quick a bit more.
Well, and I think they were losing games too, right? And they started kind of creeping back into it near the end of the year, and I think that's why they went with Quick.
Yeah. And he did play well at times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like they want to move to Peterson, but he's got to show that he can actually take it over too, right? I had 48 starts and 25 wins for Quick and 34 starts and 18 wins for Peterson. Whether you want to flip those around or maybe just distribute them a little more closely, I don't know. But it's going to be sort of a tandem anyway, so it's probably – that's tough because the Kings, I think, will actually be pretty good next year. But I don't know if I'm going to target that tandem. Anyone here interested in taking the Kings tandem or one of those guys?
I'm not. But that's
Probably not.
Yeah.
Like beyond being a streamer, right? That's probably the only situation I'm looking at those guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Possibly. Depends how many games they win at the beginning of the season. If they all come out of the gate fast and win games, they'll get snapped up pretty fast.
I also really dislike LA. I don't know if you guys can tell. Almost as much as Calgary.
Oh,
close.
after round one last year in the playoffs, yeah,
Oof.
I am
Oof.
pretty much despise might be the word actually. Kempe.
Kempe.
Yeah, who was the bonehead? Was Anderson pulled down Drysdale?
Yep.
Yep.
Just
yeah,
still crying about that one.
I'm still crying about that. It was garbage. It was a garbage
It was-
play.
Yeah.
Garbage
Complete
play.
trash. It was trash play.
It's trash. It's trash, John. It's trash.
I just don't like the guy.
I really don't like the guy. And if Dowdy was on the ice, oh man, we really wouldn't have liked that guy either.
Whew.
Like more than John.
Whew.
If Dowdy was on the ice, the Oilers might not have made it to the second round.
Bruce, you bite your tongue.
Fair.
But yeah, also a
But shut
valid
up.
point. But yeah.
I think too, like San Jose a couple years ago was the team that anybody from here hated because you play them in the playoffs. But now nobody cares about them because they suck. But now you hate LA because they're kind of back.
They're getting
So,
better already. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the San Jose Sharks, Tyler, since you mentioned them. Sixth in the Pacific last season with a record of 32, 37, and 13. Goals for, they were 2.57, 30th in the NHL. Goals against, 3.18, which was 21st. Goals for percentage was 44.7, which was 25th. Corsi for, 46.19, which was 30th. And special teams, penalty kill was great, actually, 85.2%, which was second in the NHL. And the power play, not so good, 19%, which was 22nd. They've got 13 back-to-back sets this season, tied with Buffalo, Colorado, Montreal, Vancouver, and Winnipeg for the sixth most this season. 33% of their games are played on light days. Like I mentioned earlier, fewer than 50% of teams in action. Key additions, Kaapo Kähkönen, which was re-signed. Luke Kunin, re-signed. Key departures, Brent Burns, who was traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. Ryan DeZingle was UFA signed with Carolina as well. I totally forgot about Aiden Hill, so I've only got two goaltenders in here. I've got James Reimer and Kaapo Kähkönen. I guess we really don't know how that goaltender situation is going to shake out. I think, in my opinion, I thought Reimer would get about 50 or 55% of the starts, with Kähkönen getting the other 45 or 50%. What do you guys think? Someone's getting traded. I don't know.
Someone's getting traded or sent down, one or the other. See here if any one of these three have. They're all on one-way contracts too, aren't they? They sure are.
Yeah, so someone's getting moved.
Most likely Reimer, although he does have a modified no trade clause.
I think it'll be Reimer, and I think it'll be in training camp. Training camp or preseason. First team that has an injury, and I think they'll probably ask a lot for him too.
So he'll end up in Chicago.
I think it'll be. I don't know
Trade
if
Patrick
Chicago.
Kane for him.
Not that much.
Okay, so are you guys more confident saying maybe Kaapo Kähkönen takes the reins in San Jose?
I think so.
I think they're going to go with whoever wins. It's going to be whoever has the hot hand is going to get the net, and that's how they're going to play that.
I don't think anybody's going to have a hot hand there.
No.
Well, it might be all hot from all the rubber flying through it, but yeah.
And I'm not going to give away any trade secrets, but
Lots of rubber.
But all I'm going to say is Mike and the guys at Left Wing Lock are not super high on the San Jose Sharks. So get your draft kit.
No way.
See what they have to say about the San Jose Sharks. Yeah, because it's
I'm
not
gonna
totally
check it out.
encouraging. I'm going to be honest. It's not totally encouraging. So my point being anyway is just I would probably just avoid those goaltenders altogether.
Yep.
Probably be a good idea, unless they're playing Seattle
Even then.
or Chicago.
Even then, like well,
Chicago.
maybe yes, Chicago. Yeah, that's
Take
when
'em.
you mark on
Take
your
'em.
calendar as a win. But
Take him and drop Vasilevsky for him that night.
Yeah.
oh man.
Boy.
Okay, the next guy I want to talk about here is Erik Karlsson. Obviously, with Brent Burns going to Carolina, I think Karlsson's gonna have a nice year here. ADP last year 162 in Yahoo. Tyler, you had picked up Karlsson last year, right?
Never again.
Never
ever.
again?
Never ever.
Dummy.
All right, so I've got the over/under set at 14 goals and 56 points. Are you taking the under?
Under.
taking
Under.
under?
He doesn't care. Also, like his Achilles absolutely exploding. I think that's probably a lot harder of an injury to come back from than people probably thought. But I think he's done. I think it's over.
He's never going to be at the level we saw him.
Yeah, he's PK Subban now.
Is PK? That's okay. We're getting off topic here, but is PK going to be back next year? It sounds like he wants to be, but like,
Yeah, he'll sign a PTO somewhere and he'll go somewhere. He'll play.
he'll play.
He'll play.
On the
It'll be a
cheap,
very
on the cheap.
team-friendly deal.
Yeah.
Very team friendly. And he should do that. He should do that. Go to a team that has some openings on the right side where he could get some power play time. And he'll probably get a good contract next year when the cap goes back up. But he made all of his money and then some, most of which he didn't deserve on his last contract. So I think he's going to be okay.
He'll be fine. He's got a bunch of brand deals too. He's got all his
yeah.
clothing stuff. He's working on some things.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking the under. John, are you a Karlsson fan?
No.
No.
Taking the under.
All right. Bruce?
I'm going to go under too.
Okay. I'll take the over just to be different.
Well, we all know Tyler's going to draft him anyway, but
Yeah,
He's
he's
just-
really
he's
downplaying
just-
it. He's really downplaying
he's just
it.
setting
but-
us all up, and he's going to
Lining it up. I'm
He's gonna-
lining it up.
Yeah, he's going to grab him in the 12th round.
Second.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, let's talk about some forwards here for the Sharks, starting with Thomas Hertl. In 2021, his ADP was 126. I'm going with 30 goals and 62 points for next year. What do you guys think, over or under?
I think total points will be over. His goals, I don't think he'll make 30, but his total points will be over.
Okay. Yeah, his 3-year average is 30 goals, 36 assists, 66 points. I'll take the over too, I guess. But yeah, I'd agree, Bruce. I don't think his goals will be at or even maybe close to 30 goals. He's not going to be over.
Maybe.
Tyler, what do you think?
Couture?
Or Hertl, what do you think? Like, you're
Hertl?
taking the over under?
I was looking to skip the dishes here. I'm sorry.
What's for supper, buddy?
I don't know.
What
Had to
are you
open up
ordering me?
I had to open up the document again. Over.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I
Okay,
got.
that's it. That's all you got. Under for John. Okay, Timo Meier. I've got undrafted here in Yahoo last year. His average ADP, though, 167.5. 32 goals, 64 points. We talked about him lots last year. He was kind of the guy everyone was talking about as a regression candidate. He basically just crushed expectations last year. And I'm just going to pull up his numbers. But his secondary assist rate of 0.76 was basically 50% higher than both of his previous 2 seasons. So just from that perspective, we know some regression's coming, and then the Sharks just are not going to be very good. I don't see him scoring 35 goals and 76 points again next season, so I'm going to take the under on Meier.
Ditto.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right. Couture, who I know Tyler does not like. Average ADP last year, 131. 26 goals, 56 points. Tyler, you taking the over-under?
Take them for the face-off wins.
Under.
I'll go over.
Okay.
I'll go over. And I don't like it. But
Yeah, that's surprising from you.
I think he has kind of a bounce-back season.
Okay.
I don't know why. And I don't
Interesting.
like him. I don't like saying it, but
If he can
Over.
actually stay healthy. That'd be my thing with
Maybe.
Tours. If he can actually stay healthy, maybe, yeah. But okay, I will also take the over. All right, that's all I really care about for the Sharks. There's Kevin LeBanc as well, but I think he's kind of a fringe fantasy asset. Let's talk about the Vegas Golden Knights because we all love the Vegas Golden Knights, right, Bruce?
Boo hiss.
43, 31, and 8 record. They were fourth in the Pacific, just barely missing the playoffs, which I think we all loved.
Very much.
Goals for per game, 3.20, which was 12th in the league. Goals against per game, 2.98, which was 15th. Goals for percentage was 51.78, which was 15th. And then Corsi 4 was 52 for 9th. Special teams, as they've been for quite some time, are terrible. 25th on the power play at 18.4% and 21st on the PK at 77.4%. They've got just 7 back-to-back sets this season, the fewest in the NHL by quite a large margin, I think.
Somebody got paid off.
Yeah, 32% of their games are played on light days as well. So I actually like Leonard as an option based on the schedule. If he's healthy, he may not be back until December or January. But if he's back and if the Golden Knights are good, they've got a nice schedule, so that's something to consider. Key additions, Riley Smith re-signed. Max Pacioretty was traded to Carolina. Evgeny Dadonov was traded eventually to Montreal. And Matthias Janmark was a UFA, signed with the Edmonton Oilers. Let's talk about Jack Eichel first. His ADP last year was 80. I think a lot of people were... Well, he went that late just because based on the situation, right? People didn't know what was going to happen. It worked out okay, though, Bruce, I thought.
Yeah, he did. He did well right up until the last week of the season.
Yeah, I think we found out later he was playing with a couple injuries. Right? Like, I mean, obviously he was coming back from neck surgery, and then did he have a broken thumb as well, or there's something?
It's something on his hand. Yeah, it was thumb or hand or something along that line.
So I mean, we kind of whatever it was, what it was. I've got him here for 32 goals and 76 points. One thing I'll mention here. So last year, like coming back from neck surgery, he shot at a rate of 3.9 shots on goal per game. That was his best since 2018, 2019. And in that season, he posted 28 goals and 82 points in 77 games. Also, he was on pace for just 60 points last year, which was his lowest total since his rookie season. But there's a couple things going on there that we should mention. His IPP, it was below 60 for the first time in his career. He's historically always been above 70%, so there was a big drop-off in his individual points percentage. And then his secondary assist rate, per 60, fell off a cliff last season. So just 0.12 secondary assists per 60 versus 0.73 the year prior and 0.64 in 2019-2020. So just based on assists alone and secondary assists, I think we're going to see more from Eichel. I think he'll be well into the 70-point range, even though he's lost a guy like Pacioretty. But I think he might actually be a nice value pick. I think people are kind of down on the Knights, and I think based on a couple factors, Jack Eichel might be a good option. He actually was scoring at a pace of 34 goals last year.
Well, we've seen what he's done on a team with zero talent, so this is slightly more than zero talent on the Knights. So I think he'll be a point per game player.
Okay, so you're taking the over on that one then.
I'll take the over.
Okay, Tyler.
I'll take the over.
Me too, John.
Yeah, over.
Okay. All right. Mark Stone, Yahoo ADP of 40. That's a bit early for me. For me, Mark Stone's just such an injury concern every single season, and with the back issues he's having right now, he may not be playing much next year.
Depends how many chair shots he's got to take for the salary cap.
Well, that is always a concern, right? The salary cap.
They're still over.
But the other thing, too, is if Mark Stone goes down and there's no Pacioretty, That obviously doesn't help Eichel. So bit of a concern there. But 28 goals and 78 points. Bruce, you taking the over or under on Mark Stone?
If he stays healthy, I'd say over. But if he's injured, it's going to be under. But let's be optimistic.
Sure.
At least most Knights fans will be at the end of the beginning of the season until they crap the bed. But let's go with over.
Yeah, I'll say he's going to play at a point per game pace, but not that he'll actually get to 82 points. He might just might be 42 points in 42 games played or something.
Yep.
Is that an
I'm
option?
saying under.
Can you pick that?
Yeah, you can pick whatever you want.
Huh.
Yeah, you just go for it. I that's my thoughts anyway. He's not gonna make 82 games. There's no way. He never does.
Yeah, I can't see him making the full 82 games.
No. Jonathan Marsh is so his ADP last year 88, 29 goals and 70 points. What do you guys think?
Well,
Under.
they're going to need Marchessault, Carlson, and Smith to come up big this season if they have any hopes of making the playoffs. But I'm going to take under for Marchessault.
Yeah, he played at a 71 point pace last year. 30 goals, 36 assists in 76 games. I will take the over on Marchessault. Because I think there is a chance that they break up that line too. And because he develops some chemistry with Eichel, right? So if Marchessault does end up playing next to Eichel,
That'll help.
I think he could be over a point per game. Tyler?
Under.
Under. Okay. John?
Under.
Under. Cool.
Devin, are you writing this down?
I'm
Do we
writing
get
all
to
this
make-
down. I'm
Do
writing
we
all
get
this
to
down.
make fun of each other later?
No, we're just going to have to
this?
listen back to it later and make fun of each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotta get those listens up.
Got to get those downloads. Got to get those downloads. William Karlsson. So after, what did he put up? 40 goals in that first season in Vegas?
It was a big one.
It was
Something
a big
like
one.
that.
Unexpected, right? So let's see. 43 goals, 78 points. He had just 12 goals. His goal totals have gone down, excuse me, every year since. So 43, 24, 15, 14, 12.
10.
Yeah.
10.
10 this year. It's going to keep going down until he disappears. I've got 17 goals and 52 points for next year.
Under.
I'm going under too.
Under.
Okay. All right.
Right under the bus. That's where they're going to throw him.
Okay. I'll take the under as well. And then I'm going to assume that Shea Theodore gets power play 1 again this year. Hopefully they stick to that, and that's what happens. But they've tended to play both guys here. Theodore, ADP 73. I've got him set at 15 goals and 58 points.
That would be nice, but I'm going to say under. They're going to give Peter Angelo every shot at power play 1.
Over. If they're smart, they'll let Theodore play on the power play and Pietrangelo do everything else.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd like to see them do too, Tyler. So
I don't think they're very smart, though.
No, but that's what they should do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Pietrangelo I've got set for similar point totals, 15 goals, 52 points. So. All right, and then Robin Lehner. Where are you guys taking Robin Lehner? Because his ADP, like everyone took him high last year. Bruce, how high did you take Lehner last year? Or was that the year before?
That was the year before I took him.
Yeah.
I didn't take him last year.
I know some people took him early, like in the first round last year, which was silly. But his ADP was 17 in Yahoo. So,
Yeah, and I guess we'll find out closer to training camp whether he's actually going to be at training camp or not. I guess that'll probably say a lot, right? If he's not going to start the season on the roster, his ADP will drop.
for sure. I've got him. My thought is he's going to play about half the season. So I've got him here for 40 starts, 65% net share, 22 wins. That sound all right to you guys?
If he can stay healthy, that sounds about right. But that's the big question about him, right? Is his health.
Like he could be a guy worth gambling on later in the draft because people are going to be leery of the situation. But if he manages to be healthy and if he plays the second half of the season and Vegas is actually good, like it's a gamble, but I mean,
Thompson, depending on how it works out, Thompson might be worth a look at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
Because if Leonard can't go, he's gonna get the lion's share of the starts, and he played really well for Vegas at the end of the last season. So he might be someone that you might be able to steal later on in the draft too.
And it's basically, sorry, Tyler, I got something to say there. Thompson is his net until Leonard comes back, basically, because I think it was Jesse Granger from Vegas was saying that Brossoit is actually expected to be out just as long or longer than Robin Lehner.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
I think the ideal thing is that you take him later in the draft, but like everybody has somebody in their draft that's auto drafting, and he's going to be ranked way too high, and he's going to go. He's going to go too high, and it's just it's going to
Alec
happen.
Martinez effect.
Yeah, it'll happen, and he'll be taken in the third round in most drafts because of auto draft. But
someone auto drafted him.
He should be taken later.
That's a valid point. Hopefully there's no auto drafts, but of course there always is. There's at least one guy every year.
Yeah, but if you can get him late, then definitely do that, because he could be the difference. It won't be at the start of the season, but it could be at the end.
Yeah.
Lauren will be auto drafting again this year, so
Oh yeah.
He will be. Absolutely. He'll have Robin Lehner, and then somebody will have to try and trade for him.
Only in one draft though.
Just in one.
just in one.
All right, that is it. That is all for the Pacific Division Part 1, guys. Any other thoughts before we call it a week?
Where's Edmonton?
Well, we're doing that in Part 2, Tyler.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that'll be next week with our special guest, who I have not mentioned or named yet, but
Can't wait.
you have to tune in for next week to find out who it is.
It's like I got no clue.
Yeah.
Does anybody actually know?
I do know. I've got it. Yeah, he's scheduled.
Not
for
besides
next
you.
week.
Besides you. You're the one that talks to him.
Bruce might know. I don't know.
Bruce.
Bruce might actually check the documents where his name is listed, but
Bruce.
I may have looked, but I can't remember.
okay. Well, for our listeners, if you want to know, be sure to tune in next week. Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss it. Also,
What a hook.
what a hook. There you go. You got a hook, line, and sinker, buddy.
Reel him in.
Ask the Hacks is still running, so if you do have fantasy hockey related questions, send them in. Let us know what you're thinking.
Or any questions.
Or any questions, anything. What kind of food Tyler likes, what kind of booze
Whatever
he
you
likes to
want.
drink.
Whatever you
Yeah,
want.
just ask the Hacks. We don't, just send us your questions. We're here. And get entered to win a free 1-year subscription to the Left Wing Lock iPhone app. It's going to come in handy next season. Right, Tyler? We know. It's a nice app.
I've used it
helpful.
forever.
Yep.
I've used it forever.
Love it. Thanks, Mike.
Way better than Daily Facebook.
I'm going to have to
man.
beep that out later. Can't mention the competition, man. Come on.
Hold on. What did he say? I missed it.
Nothing.
I didn't
Nothing.
say
Don't
anything.
repeat it. Don't repeat it.
Do it.
All right. Well, that does it for this week. If you want to follow us on social media, find us on Twitter at FHHacks, on Instagram, Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Visit our website, fantasyhockeyhacks.com. And like I said, send questions in, fantasyhockeyhacks@gmail.com. That does it for another week, boys. Talk to you later.
Later.
Beep.
Bye, Felicia.
Take care.